Now this I could sink my teeth into.
Boo. Boo.
You let me. You let me. You
I
you
did, and I regret it.
said Muha take the wheel, and I did it, and then you changed your mind, and it was too late. So,
This is what I get for letting them have power.
um, but yeah, so bones and all.
Bones and all. Um, I'm gonna be straight with you on this one. I did not jive with this one. This is not my kind of film.
This is 100% my kind of film.
It has nothing really to do with the cannibal part. I just didn't really connect with the romance part. That's
Um,
that's a personal thing for me.
yeah,
Uh,
I really, really connected with it. So
so I'm
clearly
gonna
there.
let you have the fun time with this. Uh,
Sure. You said I figured you were going to say something else, but
you looked like you're about to start talking, so I was shutting up for that purpose. But
oh, okay.
anyway,
Well, this is the latest movie from Luca Guadagnino Luca, um, an Italian
now
with
say
an
an enemy.
Italian name, um, who I was first introduced to when I watched his movie I Am Love back in like 2010. Since then, probably his most famous work is Call Me by Your Name.
Mm.
And he also directed the Suspiria remake, which I was also a big fan of. Hot take, I like it better than the original. It's a completely different kind of movie, but
Yeah.
and the original Giallo classic, but I much prefer the remake. He is known for his meditative, slow, textured approach to filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely the kind of movie that you're meant to just sit with, and it's not really propelled forward in the same way that a lot of movies are. It's more just a journey towards a thing and these experiences that happen to the characters and how it evolves them as things progress. And I really appreciated this movie's approach towards that and how it was really meditative, and it let me kind of sit comfortably with these things that it was showing me on screen. And I don't know, it's one of those movies where I know that it's a longer movie. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, but I could have sat through an even longer cut of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the kind of thing where I'm happy sitting with it. And I've seen some people compare it to something like Badlands. I don't quite put it on, that kind of level. I'm not a big fan of Badlands. Um, but that's probably why I don't compare them. But I can see, the whole idea of, a Bonnie and Clyde style thing being why people would draw that comparison. Um, but personally, it's about this relationship between these two characters
Mm-hmm.
and how specifically her quest to, figure out what's going on with her life and her past and herself, um how that changes her along with her exposure to the rest of people,
Yeah,
or the
and the
eaters.
whole like being mutant cannibals of it all. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I did like their approach towards it. It's a different concept. It's like not quite a vampire movie,
yeah, as
sort of.
like, closest thing I could think of is like Warm Bodies as a comparison. Uh,
Very different tone.
extremely different tone, but
Yeah.
similar sense of like conscious zombie. Uh,
Well, but that's the thing. And it's not even like a zombie thing. It's just
no,
like,
I said the closest equivalent I could think of.
yeah, but I mean, it is kind of close to a vampire movie in the sense of they just have this craving that, you know, to prey on humans. Um, and what that does to their humanity and stuff. And yeah, there are specific things I want to get into in the spoiler section, but why don't you go ahead and give your take as someone who didn't quite connect with this movie?
Yeah, this one I more like I put down more to just different tastes as opposed to a critique on the quality of the film itself.
I mean, it's
Uh,
definitely a well-made
it
movie.
is a
Like,
well-made movie.
I
It's
don't think
well
that's
shot.
argued.
It's well performed. Um, and like it kind of meandered for me personally. Like I'm not usually a
Yeah.
big fan of road trip movies in general anyway. So like that already kind of had that going against me, and I did not like Timothy Chalamet's character. Um, like I kind of thought he was a douchebag, and he kind of stayed there for me. So like it just didn't really connect with me. But I don't know. It was one of those things where you kind of compared it to Twilight, and while that's like this is definitely better than Twilight.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, but this is my Twilight. This is this is my this is the thing about the not undead couple that like is trying to figure out their relationship with each other. Like,
and I found like the stuff with like the whole like again mutant cannibal thing. I thought that like the way they kind of approached that and how they did discuss it with but
well, they're not
humanity, what it means
mutants
for
so much. They're just cannibals.
well, I mean like I call them mutant cannibals because they make it specifically make it clear like they have to do it and that's their ethical like borderline, I guess.
Yeah, ethical dilemma.
Ethical dilemma. Hence the term I
Like Morbius.
sure.
Like any fucking vampire movie where they talk about like the vampire having an ethical dilemma with preying on people. Like
Yeah, sure.
it's a classic trope. It's been there for a long time. It's just part of vampire mythology. And I feel like it does an interesting thing by making it something else.
Sure. And I like the discussion they had, kind of like the ethical debates they have with each other about like, hey, is this okay? It doesn't feel okay.
Yeah, right.
It's like stuff like that. I like those conversations. I thought that bit was interesting, but for me, just the central romance just did not click with me. Just not what I look for in that particular field. These
Yeah.
and I don't know. I kind of found the stuff around it more interesting than the actual central hook.
Hmm.
And I
Okay.
feel like for me, like for a movie that it has so much
Centered
in
around that hook. Yeah.
exactly like it's so hinged on this relationship working that it didn't for me
Yeah.
kind of makes the whole thing more it become more of a drag.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the time around this movie I just find myself just kind of bored waiting for something something more interesting to happen with the characters I thought were more interesting. um
So for me, Chalamet's character is kind of closed off and distant initially, but the way that that comes through is that he clearly does care about her. He
sure.
clearly takes her under his wing, and what it turns out to be is trauma, like straight up shitty fucking trauma.
Yeah.
And I've seen that. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And I kind of saw that for what it was. I saw what they were trying to do with developing the relationship between them, even the moments where like, she pushes him away. Um, and just the whole evolution of how they both learn to connect with each other over the course of the movie. I found that to be really realistic, especially um in light of how young both of them are.
Hmm.
And his relationship with his sister and his mom and like how that plays out. And I don't know, there was a lot here about it's not just there are multiple layers to it for me because on one level it's a good portrayal of how people who just get fucked up by their lives are looking for answers or trying to distance themselves from the damage. Um, Even if they have people that want to love them or if they don't.
Hmm.
Um, but trying to understand who you are, where you came from, why you are this way is her struggle. And his struggle is just like essentially letting go of any kind of foundation or stability because you can't settle down because you
Hmm.
can't just sit with yourself. You need something new all the time. And that's all trauma stuff. And
Hmm.
I can really appreciate where that comes from in terms of a trauma narrative, but also, and this is related, um, the idea of being an outsider, the idea of wanting to integrate with normal people and have normal friends and feel connected to them, but ultimately knowing that you are not one of them
Hmm. I
and
do
the
like that
isolation
stuff.
that
Yeah,
leads
that stuff
to.
I did
And
like the loner narrative of that. Sorry, not to
yeah,
interrupt your flow. But I just want to chime in with that really quick, just because that is a theme I caught on to, and I did like that. I thought that was interesting, especially when they kind of introduced other characters around that. Some of which I thought it was kind of weird they drew ethical boundaries around that, but the other stuff is okay. Uh,
I
particularly with
mean,
the
who knows?
like particularly with the kind of hillbilly fellow we ran into, but like around the halfway point.
Oh
Uh,
God, that dude is terrifying.
yeah, it was
That dude
weird.
is fucking scary. Like, um, immediately uncomfortable. Like, and that's the thing. I think it's this thing where also one of the other components of being an outsider is just because you find someone who is somewhat like you doesn't mean that they are safe for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's another part of growth where just because you feel like someone has had similar experiences to you doesn't mean that their relationship with those experiences and with their life is something that is okay for you to be around. Like you can take drastically different paths out of it. And that's something I had to learn a lot over the years with my own trauma and trying to find people that understood me. But then overall, it's this is the story of two people who are fundamentally broken and have a lot of baggage and damage they're carrying around with them, who are outsiders, who don't feel comfortable around people like them, even much less people who aren't like them, and just try to find ways to make peace with themselves and survive and make do. And both of them kind of seeing the inherent good that is within each other, even if there are walls up around that, and connecting and working through that, and really like the power of finding someone that actually understands you, that you can feel safe around, especially when you are that fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really intense for me because it really speaks to the subtleties of those kinds of connections, I feel. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've had those kinds of friendships and relationships over the years, and
Yeah.
some of them I still have, a lot of them I don't. And there is something really profound about the feeling when you see someone, when you meet someone, and somehow you just know,
Mm-hmm.
like the whole idea that they can smell each other, and just that thing where you don't know how to put it into words, but somehow just by talking to this person, like within minutes, you're like, we would understand. There's something more here to be explored. Like we might get each other
Mm-hmm.
and where that could lead. And I don't know, there's something profoundly beautiful and poetic to me about how this movie explores and portrays that whole thing.
Mm-hmm. No, I can see that. That's a fair point. Um, I think for me, and this is more like I guess the more objective stance I was looking at this from, is more just like it's really the Timothy Chalamet character more than anyone else that kind of annoyed me. Is more like, to me, it kind of feels it falls into the oh, he's a douchebag, but he's damaged, so therefore he's worth like that kind of thing, and that's
Wasn't
not
really
really
a
fair.
douchebag though. I
What
didn't
is
see
that?
him as being a douchebag. I saw him as being kind of distant,
Mm.
but not really a dick.
I didn't say dick. I said douchebag. There's a difference.
I don't
Uh,
equate a difference there. I feel like our definitions are different.
I think they are, but that's besides the point. I didn't say like intentionally cruel or anything like that. You just kind of just like, I don't know, just didn't really work for me. And again, I don't have any good explanation outside. It just did not work for me in general.
Mhm.
And again, like I think your viewpoint is entirely valid, and I'm glad that's a way for you to connect with that and the relationships these characters have. That I think that's 100% valid and definitely worth exploring. I can say that I guess my experience with those kind of relationships is very different.
Mhm.
And I can't say I connect to it in that way specifically, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
So that's more the perspective I'm kind of at with it, because my relationships with people are definitely been weird and toxic and definitely full of trauma. God knows there's a whole story, a whole bunch of
yeah,
stories we both know we can tie into that. But nothing specifically of this kind of nature, nothing of kind of the drifting nature, I guess.
yeah. I
Uh,
think there's something also to be said about this movie where the fact that we are talking about monsters who have no choice but to be monsters and would not be if they could. Um, just the fact that you're a good person, but you can't stop this thing inside of you that does bad things sometimes, and you try to manage it. Like on a
Mm,
certain level, it feels somewhat in line with, PTSD and how it makes you deal with situations and how, that guy in the middle of the movie, how he's just like fully leaned into it and become a total ghoul about it.
yeah,
Um and the idea that like you can manage it. You can figure out a way to manage it. And if you manage it properly, you might have a semblance of a chance at, you know, an actual connection with somebody or a life.
yeah,
There's a lot of metaphors in here that spoke to me
yeah. I
on
get
a
that.
really deep level as someone who's severely fucked up and
Mhm.
still very, very focused on trying to be the best person they can be and learn and like grow and at the same time definitely still feel like an alien around most people because they just don't know what's going on up here and
Yeah,
like and
I yeah, I think
finding
it's
someone who does.
yeah, it's definitely a very valid point. I think with the different metaphor, I could have gotten more on board with it. But for me, a part of the disconnect for me is also like, oh, Timothy Chalamet's tragic. We also saw him murder like five people.
Hey God, did you do you call him Timothy Charlemagne?
I did. My bad. I'm
Magna
tired.
Carta. Like it just uh no, but I mean that's part of the dilemma of this, right? It's Timothy Chalamet
There
and
we go.
the fact that he uh yeah, he does kill people, but he has to hunt. And he tries to make sure that it's not people that don't deserve it at least, or at least like it's as victimless as possible, but he knows that he needs to kind of do it.
Yeah,
And
and I was like, for me, that's part of also like an ethical disconnect I was having issues with over the course of the film too. That again, that's more of a personal thing.
I mean, as
Uh,
a fan of vampire movies, like and vampire stories, that's kind of just part of the deal. You
yeah, I
gotta
know,
do
but
it. You
I
gotta
don't
do
know.
it at some point. So how do you manage that?
I don't know. I don't know what
Fucking
the
die?
solution.
Like,
I don't know what the solution is. I just know I was like, okay. Um, but anyway, it also did not help my theater experience when I went in here and there was just one other older dude that like sat right behind me, and he immediately fell asleep.
God.
Uh,
That makes it hard to immerse yourself into an immersive experience.
yes, when I every couple minutes I hear
God.
behind me, to the point where I
I
had to
don't
like,
understand why fucking sleepy people go to movies. Like, if you fall asleep in a movie, just fucking leave. Just
yep.
leave.
He did leave eventually. After I like I didn't want to get up, so I just kind of like just hard knocked on the wall behind me, like wake up, asshole. Uh,
Uh,
it was weird because so that made that didn't really help things either. So he like eventually like left, like, oh thank God he's finally gone. But then he came back and like, son of a bitch. And then he left again, and then some other random ass dude came in up to his seat and just walked off with a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, wait, what the fuck is that? So I was like really distracted by all that.
that sounds distracting.
That did not help in getting into what is supposed to be a very contemplative, meditative experience.
Yeah, that'll mess with it.
So keep that context in mind as well.
Hmm. That's
Um,
unfortunate.
it's not the best time.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, this is a really beautiful, meditative, slow movie that takes its time. And I really appreciated the score, which is
Score was
from one
nice.
of my fucking top heroes ever, which is Nine Inch Nails.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Trent Reznor coming out the gate near the end with like one of the saddest songs he's fucking written since Still. Like literally the album that came out in 2001, like one of the most poignant things he's ever written in the past 20 years. As a Nine Inch Nails fan, like that song fucked me up.
Nice.
Uh, but yeah, there was it really lent itself to just how deeply this movie hit me. And this movie's for outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the thing. This is a movie for those who've been damaged and hurt. Maybe they feel too broken to be loved. Um, and just like that feeling of how much you can't believe it that you found someone who actually gets it. And
Maybe
to me,
that's my
that's
problem.
that's the romance of it to me.
Mm,
So
yeah, that's a fair perspective.
yeah.
I don't know. I guess my experience as an outsider has been a little different. So I've
Yeah.
connected the material differently, and also like maybe I also haven't had that kind of a love before, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I, from my knowledge of the people you've dated, they haven't really connected emotionally with you on that level.
no,
So
so
yeah.
now I'm just more sad.
I mean, I'm pretty sad too, buddy. Like let's be real about this.
Fair enough. We're sad
Um,
people.
but yeah.
But
Uh this is a 5 out of 5 for me.
mhm,
This is full blown, absolutely amazing movie for me.
mhm.
So profoundly affected me. Um, this is almost definitely going on my end of the year list.
I'd be
So
shocked if it didn't, based on the way you're describing it.
yeah. But yes, unless you have any other words, spoiler time.
Sure, spoiler time. Yeah.
Spoiler time. Woo, spoiler time. All right. Sully.
Yes, I did enjoy Sully. When
Sully
you
was
asked Sully,
interesting.
he is very
Really
interesting.
interesting. Um, really speaks to the eye, like first off, really speaks to the whole nice guy trope.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but also just the profound loneliness of that kind of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of woundedness you feel when you open yourself up to somebody and they don't reciprocate. But also I found it interesting how profoundly creepy,
Yeah,
apparently had a reputation,
yeah,
and definitely had the whole creepy thing with the rope of hair.
yeah. Like,
um
kind of went full serial killer there.
yeah, really unsettling.
And
Definitely a disturbed person, referring to himself in third person and like all that stuff, but at the same time, the only eater in the movie you see that insists on not killing people.
yeah. Mm. So
I found that an interesting combination of elements there.
also the only one to cook his food properly.
Um,
Like he was getting some basil and some lemons with those hands. Like,
yeah, right. Those Cornish hens were real good. They look
like
pretty.
he was working them. I'm working
Yeah.
anyway.
Um, but yeah,
Uh,
as far as him as a character, like when he showed back up, I was like, hmm. And when they ended up like happy at the house later, I'm like,
when
there's
Sully
no way
did.
this ends without Sully showing back up.
Yep,
Sully has to show back up.
and he did. Mm.
Oh God. And talk about a fucking like up close violent sequence.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, granted,
goddamn.
I was kind of surprised he went for the plastic bag route method for a man with a knife. Like,
Yeah, I mean he does get stabbed
it's
in
more
return.
like my first thought was kind of like you couldn't find like a frying pan or something. Like
Well,
something.
I don't know. I guess in the moment you're like, just grab whatever's handy, like you're like,
I
this is
guess.
urgent, clearly urgent. I'm just gonna move with what I can. Like it's like those what are those little fucking like those posts that are like chain letters on Facebook where they're like, you're in a fight and your weapon is the closest thing to you on your left. How likely is your chance for survival? Like what is your weapon? And
like,
I'm just like, not even like a good thick grocery bag plastic bag. We're talking about one of those cheap corner store quickie mart plastic bags. Okay, we're doing this. Like,
was like I it's been great. There was like a Pulp Fiction style scene where it's just like him just looking for various weapons in the kitchen. And it gets like increasingly more ridiculous.
right. Uh
Plastic
but
bag, chainsaw,
yeah, right.
katana.
Um but the yeah, I appreciated what he added to the story. I appreciated what the other eaters in general added to the story. I wish there were more. I think that's one of the things I wish from like an extended runtime. Um, Jesus Christ, the scene where she finds her mom. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That was fucking
that was
tough.
a lot.
That was really a lot. But yeah, I think that, and that really speaks to the tragedy of people who just lose themselves to it and think that, oh shit, people who isolate themselves because they think that they're too fucked up, that they're just a danger to people, and that they shouldn't be loved because they'll hurt people they love, and they shouldn't put that on anybody. Oh boy.
Buddy, I love you. Don't isolate yourself.
Anyway,
I know where you're taking this.
god damn it. Damn it. That's another thing from this movie clicking in a fucking rough way. But yeah, don't become her, I say to myself. But yeah, there's that, but like the two the hillbilly and his fucking the guy, the
Yeah,
guy, the non-eater who just hangs out with this guy. And just
yeah,
her reaction where she's like, you don't have to be this way, you choose to be this way, and just how she just can't deal with that. Like,
yeah,
and I think one of the reasons that Timothy Chalamet hangs out at that point is because he knows if they both walk away,
yeah. It's gonna
they're
cause a
dead.
scene. Yeah,
They're dead. Like, there's not enough room for them to get away properly. So he
yeah,
has to pretend to be cool. And I've done that sometimes at concerts where there's like some douche bro next to us, and I have to like pretend to be his friend for a moment to get him to stop elbowing my girlfriend, like
yeah.
because he's not paying attention to his surroundings. So I get next to him and I put my arm around him, like, hey, let's party. And he's like, yeah, dude. Like, so yeah, definitely. By the way, fun fact, the creepy human who's not the eater, do you know who that is?
I recognize him from a few things.
It's David Gordon Green,
Uh, like I know
the
he's
guy
he's
who
been.
brought us the most recent Halloween trilogy.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's him.
Huh.
Uh, which was interesting to see him pop up. But yeah, like the fact that it presents us with multiple struggles through the movie with the different scenarios and how Timothy Chalamet, like, at one point he kills that dude who ends up having a family, and he's like, fuck, like, how would we have known? And initially, it sounds like he's just abdicating responsibility. But then he talks about it. He's like, there were no pictures of his family, like in his wallet. He didn't have a wedding ring on. Like, there was nothing to indicate that this dude had any of, like, he has a system in place that he uses to check to make sure people don't have attachments before he eats them.
Yeah,
But even that doesn't work 100% of the time. And he's like, he like tries to give himself as much of a pass as he can. And the fact that she keeps going at him about it, and he just snaps and he's like, why do you have to make this harder?
yeah. No, like then those are my probably my favorite scenes of the film. Is kind of where
Yeah.
it goes into the again the ethical dilemma of what they are and how they
Yeah.
deal with it.
And I
Um,
appreciate that. What is happening in front of you? Why do you keep getting lit up and then not lit up? Like,
oh, it's
is
my
it a
TV.
screensaver?
Sorry, no.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine. Like, either be lit or not lit, though. It's weird. It's
Oh, it's
like,
because I like had a game on and then it went to rest mode and then went to the auto
oh,
screensaver.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate, and that's the thing about it. I feel like this movie does a really good job in how it goes slowly between all these different elements, because from her initial struggle with containing herself and being abandoned by her dad because of it, and embarking on this journey to find her mom and running into her first other eater and then learning about it initially through that guy, and then having her first like proper meal, um to having to set on our own again and running into this other guy who's more her age and has a different approach towards it, and the different scenarios with hunting and the different eaters they run into and dealing with their own ethical dilemmas, and her dealing with her own like generational trauma, essentially her family issues, and where that goes, and the idea of isolating yourself when you have to deal with all this stuff. And I feel like it does a really good job of exploring the different aspects of these things
Hmm.
with every scene. I feel like every scene is relevant to the exploration of this concept.
Hmm.
And it stays consistent with how you can draw the parallel or of the metaphor, um, between this and just trauma in general and damaged people. And um, I was okay with it. I was okay with all of it. And that's I do think that the way that it went through all of these different elements, to explore all the different aspects of this concept, were really gratifying in the end for me.
Hmm.
So that's I think that's kind of what I'm pulling from it.
Sure. Yeah, and like I think that definitely gives me a much broader perspective on the film that I walked away from.
Mm.
Um and like I definitely respect that. I think you're right. And maybe one of these days I'll give it a second chance and see if I can connect it better that's the first time without a snoring person behind me.
Yeah, maybe. I
uh,
mean, I'm not, I mean, it's not like I have this kind of thing going for me, you know? Um,
what do you mean?
I mean, it's not like I have this kind of relationship to draw on for myself right now. Like right now, I'm essentially single. I'm still working through my shit. I'm still recovering from the last couple of relationships that collapsed onto this. And they're people that I thought I could connect to in this way, and ultimately they turned out to be dangerous for me in one way or another. Um, and we weren't right for each other, and they're fine. Just because someone is dangerous for me doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's just like harmful to be around. You're
Yeah.
gonna hurt each other because the way you process your damage is incompatible. Um, so when I'm watching this, I guess like I think I've come somewhat close to this. I've flirted with this feeling of being understood. Um, and there's definitely a place where I have been understood on that level. But I think seeing this movie also made me feel understood.
Mm.
And the way that it develops the relationship between these two young people reminded me of some things about when I was younger and I was understanding myself more and trying to figure out like why some things worked out, why some things didn't work out, why I didn't feel safe around certain people, how they've hurt me through the years. Like there's a lot about this movie that somehow, without overtly drawing connections to experiences in my life, somehow connected with me on an emotional level
Yeah.
in ways that I could relate to
Mm.
and just really connected with. And ultimately, that's what led to, at the end of this movie, I was fucking crying. Like I kept crying. I couldn't stop crying for a while. And I just like sat in my car in the parking lot and was like, why can't I stop? And it just really is this thing that spoke to me in a way that is hard to really put into words properly. Like even with everything I've said here, it explains the basic concept, but the depth of that, I think, would require me basically telling like my life story essentially. And I'm not going to do that here. But um, there's just something about that experience that it manages to capture in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before in a movie.
Mm.
Um, probably helps that it fits with my approach to artsy movies and is scored by some of my favorite fucking musicians in the world. Um, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. But yeah, and they also know how to hit a sonic palette that vibes with me and capture the kind of tones that I really connect with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, profoundly resonated with me. So,
I can definitely understand that.
yeah.
Um
So if it's your thing, it will very much be your thing. Otherwise, it's just like an artsy movie.
yeah.
Still pretty good, but
No, like it is very rare to find those films that you feel like speaks to you on a fundamental level.
yeah,
And whenever you are lucky enough to have that experience, it's definitely worth cherishing, and holding on to for as long as you can. And I'm glad this film did that for you.
yeah.
I think probably the closest I can think of that had, well, there's a few this year that did it for me. Obviously, Ever All at Once affected us both.
Oh yeah, I feel like that hit a lot more people on that basic level though.
Yeah.
That was that's a miracle of a movie.
I'd say like the closest equivalent I can think of recently would probably be like 3,000 Years of Longing.
Oh, I meant to see that. I'm so sad I missed that in theaters.
Yeah, because that is a very unique film that did speak to me very similar, like in a very profound, introspective way, where
Nice.
where a lot of like in just that captured that unique feeling of wanting to be seen and yet feeling more alone by being seen.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll buy it.
yeah, it's only $10. Pretty good. I recommend.
It's 10
Um,
bucks.
yeah.
That's 20 where I'm looking at it.
Well, I bought Amazon, so that was only $10 there, but
Well, I'm just gonna buy the Blu-ray and hope it comes with a digital copy.
there you go.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, but that was probably my version of this because it's definitely never like it's not at all what the trailer suggested it was.
Yeah, that's why I try to avoid trailers. I think it's really beneficial for me, the fact that, I arrive just late enough to a lot of movies. That way I don't have to have shit spoiled for me by shitty trailers.
Fair.
God
Um,
knows, like Tar's trailer was not what it ended up being. It's
I
still
don't think I ever
fucking.
saw the trailer for Tar, so I don't have a perspective
I
on that one.
recommend watching it. It's interesting, but it definitely does not capture the feeling of the movie.
Yeah, like 3,000 Years of Line is a fascinating study in trailer analysis because you can tell they just had no idea how to market this thing.
Fair.
Because they advertise it as like this big bombastic like ooh it's from the creator of Mad Max and like look at all these weird imagery, ooh it's so crazy, and then you watch the action movie, it's mostly just a dude telling stories for like an hour and a half.
That
A lot of trooper stuff still there, but it's like not in the context they expressed it as such.
Yeah, I really wish I saw that in the theater.
It was definitely worth it.
But I have a 4K TV that's stupid big, and I'm going to do it.
There you go.
Hey, they brought out a four-film Deja Vu collection for The Matrix.
Nice.
4K, the whole thing.
Man, I think that's all we have really
57
to say about.
bucks. I don't know if I'm down to pay 57 bucks for the first three Matrix movies again,
Fair.
because God knows I've bought them on everything. I have the original Matrix trilogy on HD DVD
Oh my god.
and digital and Blu-ray. And like I bought this
You
too
know
many
how
times.
outdated I am with HD DVDs? I think I have Heroes Season 1 somewhere in HD
So
DVD.
do I. So do I. That was one of the big ones. That was one of the
Yeah.
big things we got on HD DVD. I still have the fucking 360 player, dude. I still have it in my closet.
I think I have it somewhere. I can check
Yeah.
one of the old boxes.
I mean,
But
God knows nobody bought a standalone HD DVD player.
I remember buying that fucking thing. Thinking like this is
Oh,
totally gonna be Blu-ray, you guys, and then it just didn't. Uh
yeah. But
anyway.
yeah. Anyway,
I think it's the way I have to say with
yeah,
bones and all. At this point we're just chilling.
yeah.
Which is I feel like what most of you guys come here to watch anyway. So uh so, um this is the worst time of year because everything is out and I just don't have time. That's where I'm at right now.
What's out?
Strange Worlds, Violent Night, Discover, uh or not Discover. It's like it's there's like two Oscar bait
Devotion?
military propaganda movies out right now.
Oh,
Uh
Devotion?
was that?
Devotion?
Devotion, that's the one.
Yeah. Don't care about that one.
Yeah, I'm skipping the military propaganda movies.
Oh, did you watch The Fablemans?
No, because it's already leaving theaters.
Yeah, right. Why did that have such a short run? It's like Spielberg bait. Like,
It's like
come
what the
on.
fuck? And
Oh
then
yeah,
like
and she
he
said as
said, which
well.
I'm seeing tomorrow. Me and Sarah are gonna do that one.
Okay.
And it's just everything, man. I don't have an inspection, which I'm also not gonna say. Just gonna military propaganda. I have better thing to do in my time.
The the
Um,
final the final Evangelion rebuild movie in theaters, showing once a day in theaters that are like not nearly don't nearly have enough seats to fit all the people that want to see them. Just like, I mean, hang on, like literally when your options are this,
damn.
like, come on, like, come on, guys. Although I could go to Eastridge and probably see it on a decently sized screen, but like if you're dealing with Oak
Yeah.
Ridge, not Oak Ridge, but like the Mercado or the Saratoga, like this is, yeah.
My point is I have too much to see and not enough time to see it all. So I'm gonna do my best.
Not with that attitude.
I I can barely see one fucking movie without, but like I need
I
to go
know.
to bed.
Spoiler alert. Oh, The Inspection. That's the other military propaganda one, right?
Yeah, I'm ditching the propaganda films this
Yeah.
Oscar season
What
because
about
fuck that.
spoiler alert? The gay heart string tugger, like
Oh, the one that like again. The sad thing, I'm getting really cynical about Oscar bait movies nowadays, or maybe just like this season's been
Yeah,
weaker. But I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like this is the beats we're going for.
that's the thing. Like the thing about spoiler alert is one, I just fucking hate the guy who plays Sheldon. I just can't get over that. But it's from the guy who made The Big Sick, you know?
Not like the Big
So
Sick, but
yeah, The Big Sick is a great movie. So
yeah,
I feel like maybe they just put together a fucking irritatingly cloying commercial for it.
maybe.
The actual movie might be better. Maybe I'll
I
read a
don't
couple
know.
reviews, but I don't know. And
I just know like
I
I
love
just
how we've just both just 100% wholeheartedly ignored Pray for the Devil.
yeah, we did.
We're just like, yeah, that looks like garbage. Don't care.
Like
We
when
have
did that came out at the end of October, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because that
It
was
was a
right after
Halloween
my
movie.
accident. That's when I was like, no, I'm not fucking seeing that.
Yeah, not
Like
not
I have
worth
a
it.
broken wrist and everything hurts. I'm not seeing that fucking movie. Uh
Well, if you need a ride to a theater for us to see something together sometime this week, let me know.
oh
And
no,
like,
I can drive okay. Just it's more of
okay.
just a conserving energy thing. So like
I
the
mean,
ones
we
we'll
should just go
definitely
have some fun with Violent Night one of these days.
yeah, like Violent
Violent
Night
Night
will
just
definitely
looks
go
like
see. I still want to
have a
see
fun time.
Strange. Yeah, I still want to see Strange World. Because that's Disney and like it's about I guess it's a lot more queer focused than a lot of their stuff, which is like why they didn't promote it at all.
Yeah.
Uh
Violent Night and She Said, I think, are the main ones that I think I want to be a part of.
well me and Sarah are doing she said she already called
Right,
dibs on
right,
that.
right. But I mean,
But
like, I want to see it so it can be on my end of the year list.
yeah, sure. And then
Um,
Violent Night for sure you can have, and then yeah, and whatever
and we'll
else.
hit the Fablemans when it comes to home video because it's already fucking getting out of there. And honestly, I know people love it because it's just a Steven Spielberg wank fest, but
Yeah.
honestly, I have nothing close to the level of connection for the romanticization of Spielberg's shit that most people do.
No, I'm on the same boat. I've been Spielberged out over the last decade or so. Like,
I mean, Spielberg hasn't made anything really profoundly good since the 90s.
yeah, like I remember like the last one I really liked was Lincoln, but that has not worked. I was younger and it has not done well on rewatches. Uh
I feel like Spielberg basically peaked with like Jurassic Park. Like,
honestly, yeah, and he's been kind of relying on the same shtick for a while, and
yeah,
it's just kind of gonna be getting grating and
yeah.
overdone. And like, granted, like I know the trailer definitely makes like this is a movie about the power of cinema. I was like, oh, there's that Oscar wank.
It's
Uh,
about himself. It's his own movie about himself and his passion for film, which could be interesting. And there's been a lot of good reviews for it. But I just like it's
I
one of those things where over time his style has become increasingly grating to me.
I agree. Yeah, no,
And
I'm right there with you.
like even at this point, like when I first watched it, I was like, oh, Saving Private Ryan's a good movie. And I'm like, wow, this is like really cheaply, emotionally manipulative military propaganda. Like this
Yeah,
is, and even man, discussions about Schindler's List. Oh boy,
I'm not doing
that's
that today.
yeah, sure. But I get that. But I have seen plenty of stuff from Jewish people who just have a massive problem with the movie. And
That's what I've heard,
I
and that's
agree with them on it. It is I understand that it was made with the survivors that Schindler saved, sure. But the way that the movie is structured and the way that the movie manipulates the viewer to feel things is really kind of fucked up.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, I don't care about ET. I don't care about like any of that shit. Like honestly, the only Spielberg movie that to me is still moderately good at all is Jurassic Park. That still holds up. It's still fun. But
It
that's
is.
all it is. It's fun. It's not trying to be deep. So it's not trying to have any like real emotional impact on you other than suspense. And
Yeah.
that's cool. I
Oh,
just
I
don't
guess
vibe with him when he tries to emote. And I feel like it's just one of those really it's like the cheapest form of emotional manipulation in movies.
yeah.
And I hate it.
I've gotten tired over the years.
Yeah.
And I know I gotta brace myself for the 3 fucking hour odyssey the next Avatar is gonna be.
Oh,
Uh,
did you buy your tickets?
I have not bought my tickets.
I'm heading to the big Metreon on the 23rd.
I'm gonna brace myself for a slow day for that one. I don't know. I'm not that excited about it, but
I'm excited.
I mean,
I'm
I'm
ex-
sure it'll be visually spectacular, but it's also 3 hours of my life. So I'm like,
I'm ready. I am look, the first Avatar is not perfect, not by any means, not even close. But I still fucking love that movie.
That one has not
Hey,
aged well for me.
I am someone who has watched it like twice, but
Yeah. Mm.
I still fucking love that movie. And also, something about fucking James Cameron is that however weird he gets with his fucking like eco-terrorist ideals, which also I am 100% cool with, uh, he knows how to fucking direct action
That
sequences.
he does. That is undeniable.
Like the last 45 minutes of Avatar is just this massive action blockbuster sequence, and I'm in for it. And the fact that we finally get another James Cameron movie after all this time, and it's his fucking like pet project that he doesn't give a fuck about anybody's opinion on. He's just going to make it the way he wants to. And it looks like it's going to have all the cheesy fucking emotional stuff that he puts in his other movies, but also more of the action shit.
Yeah.
Sign me the fuck up. I'm going for the biggest screen I can in 3D. Like we are doing it.
Well, I will definitely see it.
I will look for other showings which still have seats available that would make sense for us. And we can carpool there if you're down.
Okay, let's discuss it as we get closer.
And if I find one that makes sense, because seats are filling up, man, we got to figure it out. But if I find one that works and you're down with it, I'll cancel my current ticket so we can go see it together for the first time.
Okay, I will keep that in mind.
All right, buddy.
Let me see how I'm feeling, right, but like, hopefully, I won't be wearing this fucking monkey paw by the time that happens. But anyway, every time I look at this, I feel like I'm gonna fight Kingpin every time I look at this. But
Or you're gonna, or you're gonna go fight. What was it? Was it Jason Statham in Fast Seven or Furious Seven?
did you have a big fuck off glove in that one? I don't remember.
No. It's when The Rock fucking stands up and flexes his cast off.
Daddy's got to go to work. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I fucking love that movie so much.
I told you it was good. But
Oh man.
anyway, we're just kind of shooting the shit now. So
Yeah.
we're long done tying up bones and all. Either way,
I
we're gonna
forgot we were
catch this
still
maybe.
recording. But
What was that?
I forgot we were still recording.
Oh yeah, we record that whole thing. That's all going in
No,
there.
I'm looking. I see the dot in the corner now, but I was just like not even thinking about it. But anyway, yeah, cool. Bones and all, 10 out of 10 for me. Good stuff. Now, Human Centipede.
I was waiting.